Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, thanks for joining us for the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm joined this week by Dan Childs and Liam Flynn from the Racing Post Football Desk, as well as Paddy Power odds compiler and super shrewdy Emmet O'Keefe. Now then, if you've never joined us for a postcast, welcome along. Here's what we do. We look at the live Premier League weekend games in details. We also spin through the best bets in the 3 p.m. Premier League games, and the lads have been busy beavering away on their favoured wagers further down the leagues and right across Europe. We'll also have the naps, and I'm sure Emmet will give us an enhanced ACCA on our naps as well. So plenty to get stuck into. Before we look at the games, though, a quick chat about a couple of markets which I think are really interesting and they're very much on the boil. First of all is the PFA Player of the Season, in which Sadio Mane got very short. He's got a little injury, so let's just see what effect that has had on the market. Emmet, how do Paddy Power bet on the Player of the Season at the moment?
So with Mane still relatively short price favourite at 11-10, Jordan Henderson 4-1, Kevin De Bruyne 9-2, Virgil van Dijk 10-1, Trent Alexander-Arnold 12-1, Mo Salah 14s and 22s bar.
I suppose the conversation begins with Sane. Does it with Mane rather?
Yeah.
Sane would be an outside choice, wouldn't he? Does it end with Mane as well? Do you think he'll just get it, Dan?
He probably will do, yeah. I mean, I know people don't look at defenders, but if you ask me, the main reason Liverpool are so far clear in the title race is Virgil van Dijk. I mean, he's the difference really between them and Manchester City.
So why wouldn't it be him then? Because he's 10-1. He was second in the Ballon d'Or, wasn't he? What's not to like with him?
I don't think there is anything not to like really, and. Personally, I think he probably does have a lot of respect from his fellow pros as well. So, and the other one is the assist king, Kevin De Bruyne, who's just on another level, isn't he, in terms of the goals that he provides. So, those would be the two threats. I would argue.
Have you got a view here, Liam? I mean, Mane's short, isn't he? Given that it's not like Liverpool have got one outstanding talent.
Yeah, I'd echo exactly what Dan said there, to be honest. I think Mane probably will end up getting it, but in terms of value, you're looking at Virgil van Dijk. I think, obviously, Liverpool had that incredible run of sort of clean sheets recently over for the turn of the year, and I think the other one maybe I would look at is perhaps not typical of a fullback getting this kind of award, but I think Trent Alexander-Arnold has proven time and time again he is the best right back in world football at the moment, both from sort of an attacking point of view. I think the number of assists he racks up, but also he's contributed to that excellent defensive record that Liverpool have had this season. An extremely outside bet, I mean, I don't think he was listed there, might have been someone like Alisson, but obviously he was out for different stages of the season. But if you're sort of going with the defensive angle of Liverpool, then maybe he might be a very, very big price bet. But I think realistically, you're looking at Mane and then as a better price option, Van Dijk.
Emmet, why are you so short about Jordan Henderson? 4-1. Honestly, I just couldn't have him at that price at all.
I would tend to agree with you, Bruce, but we've racked up a fairly decent liability on him as his kind of performances have improved over the last few weeks. I think as well with Fabinho coming back, I think Henderson kind of thrives playing a little bit further forward. I think that position would definitely suit him. If I was having a bet now, I'd probably look at Kevin De Bruyne, because I think if you're a player filling out a ballot for this, it'd be very hard not to include De Bruyne given the season he's had. Whereas I think the Liverpool, it's like as in like a lot of their, you could see the Liverpool vote being split. There's plenty, like obviously Van Dijk, Henderson, Alexander-Arnold, even Salah. So I think I think De Bruyne at 9-2 probably represents the value at this point.
Okay, I mean, I don't know why Robertson's not part of the conversation there. If you're looking at Liverpool's best players, I think he's absolutely outstanding. Another market which is really interesting right now is League One. And there's a couple of really big fixtures this week, and I think Ipswich are playing Portsmouth. And the original two dominant forces in the betting in August, Portsmouth and Sunderland, they do battle at Fratton Park. So how do Paddy Power bet right now on League One, Emmet?
So we've Rotherham favourite 9-4, Ipswich 5-1, Portsmouth 11-2, Coventry 11-2, Sunderland 13-2, Oxford 11-1, Wigan 12-1, and 22's bar.
Is League One of a pond in which you've often fished for winners, Emmet?
Not that often, but I do like to look at Sunderland at the moment. I think their previous manager Jack Ross really wasn't doing a good job at all. They were underperforming versus the resources available to him. I think under Phil Parkinson, you've clearly seen a pretty big improvement in form. They've won four of their last 5 matches and only conceded one goal in that time. I think they're really come good at the right time. And if I was to put an outright bet on now, Sunderland at 13-2 would definitely be the way I'd go.
Dan, what's your verdict on it? It's a fascinating division, isn't it?
Yeah, I like Rotherham, not just because they're leaders at the moment, because they've been on a really good run recently. Played Ipswich in the week, although it was a 1-0, sounded like it was a very dominant 1-0, and that's a very good sign, because Ipswich have actually had to turn things around a bit recently. They've gone to a back 3, similar to sort of Sheffield United style, where they're pushing the right and left-sided centre backs on, and they played a lot better. But Rotherham battered them apparently on Tuesday night. And the other one I would consider is Portsmouth. They're 7th, just outside the playoffs, but it's such a tight league.
Couple of
games in hand as well. Fratton Park are still unbeaten there. That's always a fortress. And they've started winning tricky away games now. They won at comfortably 2-0 away to Lincoln on Tuesday night. That really suggests that they're getting it right now, home and away. In the Cup, I mean, I know it's an FA Cup game, but they played quite a full-strength Barnsley team, won 4-2 and battered an improving Barnsley team. So it's looking good for them at the moment.
Liam, where's your idea of the value as things stand?
Yeah, my number one choice would be Portsmouth. It was about 11-2. I think if you're looking at the last couple of months, they're probably the form side. At the start of the season, they would have been among everybody's picks for promotion. They obviously tailed off quite early, but sort of over the last couple of months, they picked up again. And I really like some of the players they got forward. I think I've mentioned last week, I'm a big fan of Ronan Curtis, the forward player. He scored a brilliant goal in a cup game for them, didn't he? And I think then the fans started to get on side with him. John Marcus as well has been in with the goals, and we know that at that level he can be quite lethal in the final third. So I think with the players they've got going forward and the recent run of form, and of course the games in hand and the Fratton Park record, they're the pick of the bunch at that price.
OK, I think Mark Langdon is at Portsmouth v Sunderland, so perhaps he'll tell us all about it on next week's show. Let's get stuck into the Premier League programme this weekend, and it is a really fascinating one. I think there's only 2 odds-on favourites in the entire 10 games. So there's some real head scratchers. The boys have been studying hard, and hopefully we've got some decent advice for you. We'll start with the 12:30 Saturday game, live on BT Sport. Leicester versus Chelsea. What's the latest betting from Paddy Power, please, Emmet?
So we've Leicester 6-4, draw 5-2, and Chelsea at 13-8.
Right then, Liam, you can go first. This is tough this weekend, isn't it? Are you confident,
Yeah,
or have you been scratching your head?
Yeah, no, fairly confident. They are definitely difficult games. I think with whenever 2 of the sort of bigger clubs, say we're calling it a top 7 now, top 8, whatever it is, whenever those sort of 2 teams within that category meet, we tend to have this expectation that it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I don't think that's going to be the case this weekend with Leicester-Chelsea. And my best bet would be under 2.5 goals at shade of odds against. I think spirits will be a little low in that Leicester camp after obviously crashing out of the League Cup to Aston Villa. As an excellent opportunity to reach the game at Wembley, but I think that's going to naturally hit their confidence slightly going into this weekend. I mean, it's obvious, but Jamie Vardy is such a key player for them, and obviously he's still not 100% fit. I think that really hinders the Foxes in the final third. They have actually, I mean, we talked about it towards more the start of the season, but they've outperformed expected goals quite significantly all season long, by 12 in the league at the moment. And I think Jamie Vardy's finishing has been central to that. So when they don't have him in the side, I don't actually rate them that highly as an attacking unit compared to when he is. And I think they could struggle to find a way through. Chelsea themselves have really been over-dependent on young Tammy Abraham this season. He's performed well, but I think it's a lot of pressure on a young player's shoulders. And obviously now talks of Olivier Giroud potentially leaving, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz around anybody coming in. So in terms of going forwards, I do worry about Chelsea. 1 win in 4 Premier League games. I think they could struggle to get through a Leicester defence who've conceded only 12 league goals at the King Power this season. So a low scoring one for me, under 2.5 goals.
Under 2.5 for Liam. Emmet, what's your idea of the value here?
I think Leicester look too big here. I know, as Liam said, their confidence may have been affected by going out in the League Cup, but that was on Tuesday, so there is a decent break to this game. And if Vardy's anyway fit, I think they're a better team than Chelsea. I think they should be a lot shorter than 6-4 here. If as has been mentioned, Chelsea are over-reliant on Tammy Abraham. As the goals have dried up for him, the goals have dried up for Chelsea. They don't have the same. Willian's not the player he was. They don't have the same quality in the attacking front 3 to provide support for Abraham. And then you're relying on Batshuayi. Maybe is their only other striker if Giroud leaves, which wouldn't fill you with confidence. And N'Golo Kante, one of my favourite Premier League players of the last 10 years, but I think he's this is having his worst season since he came to the Premier League, probably. And I wouldn't have much confidence. Wouldn't have much confidence in Chelsea here. Leicester had a bit of a dip in form, but I think that was more related to Wilfred Ndidi's absence. I think he's a huge player for them, and with him back, I have Chelsea closer to probably 11 to 10. Sorry, Leicester closer to 11 to 10.
Excellent, interesting stuff. Dan, what's your view?
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. I think Leicester are overpriced here. I think they've shown over the season so far they're a better team than Chelsea, and you've got the home advantage as well, which is big because Leicester's home record, 1-8, drawn 2, lost 2. That's the same as Manchester City's. Only Liverpool got a better home record. With a striker's fitness, I think Jamie Vardy, he did get about half an hour in that game at Villa, so he's probably I would argue that he might be sharper. He's only had a couple of weeks out, so he shouldn't have lost a lot of base fitness. He should be fitter than Tammy Abraham, who they're talking about Chelsea maybe pushing him to play through the pain barrier after that knock he had into the advertising boards there. And Didi, I agree, when they had that little wobble of results, I think a lot of that was down to him being out. He's a really important screen for them there in the midfield. Chelsea, for me, you look at the Arsenal game, the 2-2, when they're playing against 10 men a lot of that game, Arsenal didn't attack a lot, yet still scored 2 goals. Chelsea's defending and the goalkeeper, I'm not convinced by them defensively. You look at it statistically as well, they've conceded 20 away goals. That's the joint highest in the top 11 teams. It's more goals away from home than West Ham and Bournemouth have conceded. So that's a real weakness there. Leicester, for me, at home, too big.
2 confident votes for Leicester and 1 confident vote for under 2.5 goals. We've got the 3 p.m. games coming up next.
I'm Jose Mourinho. I know a thing or two about being special. English Manager of the Year 3 times, special. Winning the daily jackpot on Paddy Power games, not special.
Understood, Jose. Yes, someone wins an average £40,000 jackpot every single day. So if you win, don't think you're special. Daily Jackpots by Paddy Power Games. Jackpots must be awarded by 11 p.m. and vary from day to day. Jackpot is shared with other operators. Available on selected games. T's and C's at paddypower.com. 18+ BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back. Right then, there are 6 Premier League games at 3 p.m. and they're real testers. I mean, they're really close. As I spin through the Paddy Power prices, you'll see what I mean. We'll start with Bournemouth versus Villa. It's evens Bournemouth, 5-2 the draw, 12-5 Villa. Dan, solve this one.
Yeah, I mean, Villa have had the big boost of getting to the cup final. Bournemouth had the big boost of beating Brighton 3-1 the last league game. I just think it's a game neither team's going to want to lose. That's why I'm going to go for the draw.
Liam.
Yeah, I'll go Aston Villa draw no bet in this one at odds against. Bournemouth rode their luck a bit in that Brighton game. They won 3-1, but they only saw 34% of the ball and allowed Brighton 21 shots in that game. So I think Villa could get something from this.
Yeah, I'd agree with Dan here. It's hard to have confidence in either side. Villa haven't had a better XG than any of their opponents in the league in their last 11 games. And Bournemouth have no team in the league scored fewer goals in open play than Bournemouth. So, no, very little confidence in either side. So I'd back the draw here.
Emmet, I want to ask you a quick question there. As odds compilers, what do you pay more attention to, the actual result or the XG result?
I think it's a combination. It's definitely a combination of both. But I would, I think in the long term, I think you'd lean towards expected goals. As in, it's a tough one because there are some teams that'll kind of buck the expected goals figures over the season. Liverpool being an example of that. Leicester to some extent being an example of that. So I think it's as the earlier in the season, I think you've got to pay really close attention to it because with a smaller sample size, teams can outperform their XG and then kind of regress to the end of the season. But after 23 plus games, kind of teams to a large extent are what they are.
Excellent, interesting stuff. Crystal Palace are 2-1, as is the draw, and Sheffield United are 6-4. Liam, who wins this?
Yeah, I'll go for a draw in this one. These sides have had 18 league stalemates between them this season. Luka Milivojevic potentially coming back could help Palace control the game a bit more and hinder Sheffield United's chances. In Sheffield United's last 5 games, 3 have been settled by single goal margins. Their games are typically tight, and I think it's difficult to strongly favour either side.
I expect a pretty tight game here, as the kind of markets would suggest. Under 2.5 goals. Here's 1-2, and I expect a tight game here. I'd probably take a hopeful punt at a draw at 9-2, which should be a close game. It's clicked in 3 of Palace's last 5 games.
I think Palace are overpriced in this game. I mean, they're only 3 points behind Sheffield United in the table. They're very effective on the counter-attack normally. You've got Wilfried Zaha, Jordan Ayew, a bit of pace there. Got the extra striker now of Cenk Tosun in. Sheffield United are a very bold team. They'll push up, but I think Palace can exploit them. Palace for me.
Blimey. Liverpool, this is the one that people might find easier to solve than others, but not necessarily. Liverpool 1-4, it's 9-2 the draw, and it's 10-1 Southampton. I must admit, Emmet, I've had a little bit on Southampton draw no bet. I was massively impressed with them at Palace the other day. I just think this Liverpool team, they're obviously fantastic. The league table doesn't lie, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, I just kind of feel like maybe something's going to happen here. Do you think I'm mad, or do you think that there is the possibility that Southampton, even not Southampton, can go up there and do something?
I definitely don't think you're mad. I think it's a pretty intriguing game. Southampton have been the fifth best away side in the Premier League this year. They've only been held scoreless in one away league game all season. Obviously, Liverpool's defence has been outstanding lately. I think they have 7 clean sheets out of their last 8 games. But I think Southampton will carry a greater threat than most of the sides they've faced. And I think both teams to score is probably fair at about 10-11. So the tip I go for would be Mo Salah to score first at about 11-4. Obviously, without Mane, he'll have a greater share of the goals. And with Milner out, he's on the penalties as well. So it's probably a reasonable bet here.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will just grind another one out here. A bit of a machine at the moment. I think defensively, the thing is that Alisson, he seems to have, whenever I watch him, he has so little to do as well. He's so well protected, mainly by Van Dijk. Obviously, a little bit less effective going forward without Mane, but I think they'll win. I'm going to go Liverpool to win and under 3.5 goals. Does it for me.
That's been a bit of a printing press for you, Greg, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's go for it again.
What do you like, Liam?
I'll go with Liverpool to win and both teams to score, actually. It's quite challenging to find value in these Liverpool games often, but if I can have a bet, that's what I'll be going for. Both teams scored in 8 of Liverpool's 12 home league games. Southampton's matches have featured, on average, 3.04 goals this season. We know how impenetrable Liverpool are at Anfield, but Saints have been in excellent form, and I think they could cause a slight scare at Anfield.
Dan, let's see what you make of Newcastle v Norwich. It's 6-5 Newcastle, 23-10 the draw, and also 23-10 Norwich.
I'm going to go for a slight surprise. I'm going to go for Norwich to win the game. Whenever I watch Norwich, they look a good footballing side to me. Score enough goals, and I just think Newcastle at the moment got quite a few injuries. Top scorer Shelvey's out injured for a month. He's got 5 goals for them. Their next highest scorer after Shelvey is 2 goals. They've got a few, Almiron, one of the players, I think Joe Linton, a couple of players on 2 goals. Very little up front. Take a chance on Norwich.
I can see Norwich staying up, I honestly can. What do you think, Lim?
Yeah, I'll go for Newcastle actually in this one. I think Norwich have their dangers in the final forward in Pukki, Cantwell and Andre Duda. I like the new player who's come in this window, but I think they're better against sides who come at them. They've taken points off Arsenal, Tottenham and Leicester throughout December. Newcastle are more disciplined. They've only shipped 12 home league goals this season, and their new addition, Valentino Lazzaro, I think he looks like a player who can really help them on the counter-attack, and I think that will be the approach they'll go for in this one. So Newcastle for me.
Yeah, I'd lean Newcastle at the match prices, but the angle I'd look here would be the set piece angle. No team has scored more goals from set pieces than Newcastle, and only Everton have conceded more goals than Norwich from set pieces. There's 40-1 on Federico Fernandez to score first. I think that's definitely worth a look. He hit the post against Everton, nearly scored against Chelsea, and he scored a couple of league goals already this year. So that's the angle I'd look at here.
Nice one, 40-1. Okay, it gets no easier when Watford play Everton. It's 7-4 the Orns, 11-5 the draw, and 6-4 Everton. Where's the value here, Liam Flynn?
I like Watford actually. Only Liverpool and Man City rank higher than Watford in the 6-game Premier League form table. Hornets have been especially good at Vicarage Road, beating Man United, Aston Villa, Wolves and holding Tottenham. Toffee's kept only 1 clean sheet in their last 6 fixtures in all competitions. Still don't like them at the back, and I think Watford's pacey forwards could cause them some problems.
Yeah, I'm pretty lean Watford here. But my only concern about Watford is I think Ismail Assar looks like he's going to probably be out, and I think he's a pretty big loss. His pace and power gives a different dimension to their attack. And the angle I'd look at here would be Dominic Calvert-Lewin to score first. Since Marco Silva left Everton, Calvert-Lewin scored 70% of Everton's league goals, which is a very impressive figure. And there's one big bookmaker has him at 6-1 to score first. I think that's definitely worth the bet.
Okay.
I'll go Watford. I'm a little bit concerned about Ismail Assar possibly being out, but Roberto Pereira was a pretty decent standard replacement. Unbeaten in 6 games at Vicarage Road. Included in those, they beat Manchester United, Wolves, some big teams, bigger than Everton this season. Everton, I don't trust away from home. 2 wins in 15 Premier League away games, and they've lost on their last 3 visits to Vicarage Road.
Okay, and finally for the 3 p.m. games, it's West Ham versus Brighton. A huge game for, both of them, but particularly West Ham are in absolute freefall. They're 6-4, it's 7-4 Brighton, and it's 9-4 the draw. Can you split these, Emmet?
No, I think unders looks the best play here. 10 to 11 under 2.5 is a pretty good price. West Ham only scored 2 goals in David Moyes' 5 matches in charge, and under 2.5 is clicked in 4 of Brighton's last 5 matches.
I think Brighton are the bet here. I look at West Ham at the moment, bit of a toxic atmosphere. Lost 6 of their last 8 home games. I know the last one was against Liverpool, but the game before that against West Brom reserves, effectively in the cup. I just think that it's really important how the game starts. I can see Brighton the way they play, dominating the ball. That will make the crowd even more on edge, and I think they'll go on to win. I
think the thing is, Dan, if you've got 3 home games on the bounce and the first 2 have gone badly, it's actually you probably want to get the hell out of there and go and play somewhere else, don't you?
I agree. Yeah.
Liam, what do you think will happen here?
Yeah, I've been leaning with Brighton as well. Brighton draw no bet is the one for me. West Ham, as you say, in free fall, winless in 5 games in all competitions, lingering above that drop zone. They were matched across the field by a weakened West Brom team in the FA Cup. And I think with Brighton adopting sort of a new style of play this season, there's bound to be teething problems. But with players like Neil Maupay and Leandro Trossard, I think they're worth backing with the insurance of a sort of draw no bet approach.
Another fascinating Premier League game coming up next. It's Man United versus Wolves.
Everything is better when it's bigger. Paddy Power's Same Game Multi allows you to combine a number of selections from a single match into one big bet. Check out the Same Game Multi tab and get building your bet. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. It's Bruce Millington, Dan Childs, Liam Flynn and Paddy Power's Emmet O'Keefe. We're going to look ahead to the Sky Live game on Saturday night, 5:30, Man U Wolves. A real cracker and another test. What's the latest betting, Emmet?
So Man United are 13-10. The draw is at 9-4, and Wolves are currently 5-2.
What do you make of this one, Dan?
I'll go Wolves, draw no bet here. I watched the cup game about 3 weeks ago, wasn't it? But Wolves were the better side for long periods, really. United sort of got in front and then sort of defended, really, and hung on. But I just think the build-up to the game is important here. You've got Man United, he felt he had to play his strongest team, didn't he, at Manchester City. They got the 1-0 win and went out with their pride intact, but they've taken a bit of some damage there with Matic getting sent off. He's now suspended. You've got no McTominay and Pogba. They're both injured. It leaves them. I mean, there's a chance Bruno Fernandes could come in, to beef up the midfield. But, it's asking a lot to come in and make an impact straight away, a couple of days after signing. Wolves, that midfield is great, isn't it, with Neves and Moutinho? I mean, they're a team as well, a little bit like Palace. They needed a bit of a break, I think. There was times over Christmas and New Year period when they were looking a little bit leggy, Wolves, but they use the same players a lot of the time. Now they've had a nice little break, not in the FA Cup 4th round. I think they'll be right on it here. And I think they're the likely winners.
On neutral venue, who do you make favourites, Dan?
I would say Wolves at the moment, especially with a build-up going into the game as well. And that's why, quite a bit of odds against draw no bet looks big to me.
Are you against United as well, Liam?
Yeah, I would certainly side with Wolves, but my best bet would actually be for a draw at half-time at even money. These sides obviously played out 2 sort of insipid games at Molineux and Old Trafford in the FA Cup. In total, there were only 10 shots on target across both games. Manchester United, obviously, still without their greatest goal threat in Marcus Rashford. And as we said, I think they could be fatigued from what was quite an intense midweek affair with Manchester City when they had to play the strongest side and they had to really go for it. Interestingly, Wolves are rock bottom of the Premier League's first half table. They've led at the break in only 4 of their 24 matches this season, and they've scored only 9 first half goals compared to 26 second half goals. So certainly a team that improves as the game goes on. They grow into the match, and I think for that reason, back in the draw at the break could be the way to go.
OK, we've just had breaking news, by the way, from Man United. They've put out a statement in the wake of that mob attack on Edward Woodard's house. Anyone found guilty of being involved in that is going to be forced to renew their season ticket next season, apparently. Emmet, who wins this?
I like the angle that Liam mentioned about Wolves first versus second half statistics, and I like Wolves' second half results at 5-2 here. I think it's as well also a factor into that is United had a really hard game during the week, chasing shadows against Man City for 90 minutes, and as Dan mentioned, it's a pins. It's the most the most amount of changes they'll make maybe 3 or 4. So I could see United tiring late, especially against the likes of Traore and maybe Yota coming off the bench. I think we'll have them in trouble here. I also think 8 or 9 to 1 about Wolves to finish top 4 is definitely worth an outright bet. I think Willy Bowley's a huge player for Wolves. He's by far their best centre half, and I think he's due to come back soon. And I think once he's back, Wolves are a fairly complete team. And on a neutral venue, I'd nearly have them favourites against Chelsea, not to mind Man United.
Wow, interesting stuff.
On the bench last game, Willy Bolly, so he could even start, at Manchester United.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so everyone's very negative on Man U. Let's see what the lads make of the 2 Premier League games on Sunday, starting with the 2 o'clock at Turf Moor, Burnley versus Arsenal. Emmet, latest betting and your idea of the value.
So Burnley 11-4, the draw 5-2, and Arsenal 10-11. I think the difference in the intensity of Arsenal's pressing is very notable under Mikel Arteta versus Unai Emery. Watched them during the week against Bournemouth. After the 70th minute, they pressed Bournemouth so high that Bournemouth were forced into a back pass out of play, and you couldn't have imagined that, I think, a couple of months ago. But despite the improvement, they still have huge weaknesses at the back, the likes of Socrates, Mustafi, David Luiz, etc. at centre half, and I'd expect Burnley to really exploit that with their threats in the air, most notably Chris Wood. I think 8-11 on both teams to score is a very solid bet. I think and as well, also I think maybe Charlie Taylor, who's playing at left back, is worth looking at the card markets. They'll probably be marking Nicolas Pepe, who's one of the most prolific dribblers in the league, and I think that's worth a look as well.
Excellent. It's an interesting game this, Dan, isn't it? Because Arsenal definitely seem to be getting it together under Arteta, don't they?
They've got Aubameyang's back from suspension as well, which is a big plus for them. They are playing better under Arteta. The press, as Emmet said, is a lot better. The defence is still the worry, and I just wonder whether you can trust them at the moment at odds on. They've not got a great away record, and the other aspect is that Burnley, if anyone's going to bypass the press and go long, it's them, isn't it? So it might not be as effective as against Bournemouth, who like to play a lot of football and pass it around at the back. I still don't fancy Burnley against an improving Arsenal. So I'm going to go to exactly the same tip. Both teams to score at 8-11. Burnley got a good goal threat. Chris Wood's got 10 goals in the league this season. Jay Rodriguez had that fantastic goal at Manchester United. Dwight McNeil I really like as well. So I think they can get a goal, but I fancy Arsenal to score as well.
2 votes for the BTTS at 8-11. Liam, are you going to row in with the lads, or have you got something else for us?
Yeah, I've got something slightly different. I think even with Arteta having restored some confidence in that Arsenal team now, I still don't feel comfortable backing them away from home at odds on. And I also not that comfortable backing Burnley, because Arsenal actually do have quite a good record at Turf Moor recently, which might come as a bit of a surprise. A good angle might be a goal scoring bet. And the player out there I like the look of is Jeff Hendrick to score first at 12-1. Turf Moor often plays host to quite scrappy affairs, and I think that Sean Dyche will be looking to unsettle Arsenal from corner plays where Hendrick has scored this season. Only Everton have conceded more league goals from set pieces than Arsenal this season. Arsenal conceded 10 league goals from set pieces. They just can look consistently disorganised through the centre of that defence. Jeff Hendrick has been a danger from set pieces this term, and it could be a bit of value for him to add to his 3 strikes in all competitions this time.
That's twice I've heard that. Only Everton have conceded more at set pieces. Who else is that? That's Newcastle as well, Emmet, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
So that
there are a number of teams, I think.
They're all on the same.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Delighted for that. In case any of our eagle-eyed listeners looked at it and said, there's a mistake there. Good lads. Right, 4:30, Spurs v Man City, the glamour tie of the weekend. What's the latest betting, Emmet?
So we've Tottenham at 9-2, the draw at 7-2, and Man City at 1-2.
Even at 9-2, Dan, can you be interested in Tottenham?
Not really, no. It's one of them where I do think City will be too good, but would I be backing them at 2s on? No. So I'm going to try and boost the price up, and I'll go Man City to win and both teams to score at 8-5. City have won 7 of the last 8 away games, but there has been both teams to score in 6 of the last 9 Premier League meetings between Manchester City and Spurs. Spurs, I know without Harry Kane, less of a threat, but I think Lo Celso's starting to play a lot better now. They've been signed permanently in the week as well, so we're boosted by that. Dele Alli playing better under Jose Mourinho as well. Heung-min Son got his goal against Norwich. Maybe he can kick on. So I think Spurs will score, but I also think they'll lose.
Dan's gone City and both. What's Liam going?
Yeah, I'm going City and over 2.5 goals, a similar angle. City have conceded in 5 of their 6 meetings with the Big 7, is that's what we're calling it this season. That's the original Big 6 plus Leicester. They've been pretty mediocre at the back this season in the absence of Aymeric Laporte, who Guardiola has come out and said is the best left-sided centre-back in world football. I think there are probably too many vulnerabilities throughout this Spurs side to warrant backing them against Manchester City. But even without Harry Kane, I mean, they do carry a bit of a goal threat with the likes of Lucas Moura and Heung-min Son scoring a couple recently. So I think they could score to contribute to a high-scoring affair in North London, but I'd still side with Manchester City.
Emmet, that game against United in the week epitomised City, didn't it? They absolutely wiped the floor with them and lost. I mean, how they managed to play so brilliantly and not win is a mystery. Could that happen again here? This is the trouble. They can either do that and let you down, or they can go and win 4 or 5, can't they? What's going to happen on Sunday?
Yeah, it's interesting. My suspicion would be that Guardiola was very stung by by United's counter-attacking victory at the City of Manchester Stadium earlier in the season, and was kind of doing everything. So he played this fairly funky formation. It was kind of a midfield box in midfield, and then kind of three at the back with two fullbacks splitting wide. And I think it probably left them a little bit kind of uncertain. You didn't probably see the best of Kevin De Bruyne, and I expect a more traditional formation at the weekend, with possibly Laporte starting. And I'm very negative on Spurs under Mourinho. I think the style of play has been pretty rudimentary, as is traditional with him, and it just his complaints about not having a striker with Kane being absent ring very hollow to me. Spurs had better points per game last year in the league in the 11 games. Kane was absent than when he was present. In years before that, they had an excellent record when Kane was absent. The likes of Dele Alli and Son stepping up to replace him. But obviously, the difference between this year and previous years is the absence of Christian Eriksen. I remember Mark saying in one of the pods last year that there'd be a genuine debate among Spurs fans who'd be more valuable between Kane and Eriksen. I think Spurs desperately need Lo Celso to step up to kind of fill that creative void. I don't think Spurs are playing well at all at the moment. Before the Norwich game, they've been held scoreless in 4 of their last 6 games. And they're not playing like a team you'd expect to challenge for top 4. I think City -1 the Asian handicaps wide look here.
Okay, so that bet basically, if City win by 1 goal, you get your money back. If they win by more than 1 goal, you win. And if it's a draw or Tottenham win, you lose. Right then, lads, what else have you found for us? You can look further down the leagues and right across Europe. Anything you like. Don't give your naps away, though. Liam?
Yeah, I've got 1 domestic and 1 Europe. But first domestic, I'll go Cheltenham to beat Morecambe. Cheltenham still in a contention for a playoff spot. Earned a good point at Bradford last time out, and they ran out comfortable winners in their last 2 home games against Oldham and Walsall. Morecambe have won only 6 league games all season. I just think really for them, they've struggled to adjust since losing obviously their long-term manager Jim Bentley several months ago. So Cheltenham would be my favourite option there. And if you're looking in Europe, then I like to look in Serie A of Inter to beat Udinese. This could be Christian Eriksen's first game for his new club. They have the attacking quality of Lautaro Martinez and Romelu Lukaku, perhaps a touch over-dependent on those two, but
Ashley Young will be a big help as well.
Yeah, well, they have seemed to raided the Premier League quite a bit recently.
Hasn't Moses gone there as well?
He has, yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I think of those, Eriksen is obviously is quite a good pick. I think he adds that creativity in behind, which perhaps they've been lacking because they're quite overloaded with sort of defensive midfielders at Inter. Lost only 1 of their 21 Serie A fixtures, and they shouldn't really be put under any substantial pressure by Udinese. They've managed only 19 goals in 21 league fixtures and have been a bit shot shy this season.
What do you fancy for us, Emmet?
I'd also go to Serie A here. I like Roma away to Sassuolo in 5-6. Roma have been excellent this season under their new manager, Paulo Fonseca, sitting 4th in Serie A, and they were pretty unfortunate not to beat title challenging Lazio in the Rome derby last week. I think they're a couple of levels above Sassuolo, and I'd have them shorter than 5-6 here.
Okay. And Dan?
Yeah, I've got 2 EFL picks. In League 2 is a mid-table battle. I like Salford to win away to Port Vale. Salford, right in the middle of the table, they are going to have a crack at the playoffs by the look of it. In the recent signings in the window, they're really flexing their financial muscle. We've signed Bruno Andrade, the winger, and Michael O'Connor, a midfield player from Lincoln. Both were playing quite regularly at Lincoln. Also signed Ash Hunter, the winger from Fleetwood. Again, he was playing regular for Fleetwood. To get players playing regularly from the league above, you've got to be splashing the cash. And their performances have started to improve. They won 4-0 at Cambridge in the week. I think they're going to beat an inconsistent Port Vale who haven't had back-to-back league wins since November. The other one, I'm going to go League One. Wimbledon are away to Accrington. Wimbledon are 19th, Accrington are 17th. Accrington are odds on. Now, I don't really understand why that's the case because recent form, Accrington have been really, really poor. They've had 1 point from the last 5 games. Wimbledon are actually playing quite well recently. Glyn Hodges doing a great job there. Last 2 games, they've won 1-0 at home to Peterborough and drew 2-2 at Burton. Both good results and performances. I think they'll get at least a draw at Accrington, so I'll go Wimbledon or draw a double chance.
Excellent. It's nap time.
This will not be beaten.
I am going to go for Lincoln at 10 to 11 to win at Southend. I'm not going to tell you why. You don't care. Dan?
That's a strong one because Southend, well, not apart from being awful, they're losing players constantly as well. So the goalkeeper's gone to Man United. Dieng, the captain's been injured this week, so they're in a shambles situation. I'm going to go anyway for Crawley, down in League Two again, home to Scunthorpe. John Yem, since he's gone in there, I think he was a manager for them a couple of spells actually in the non-league. He's gone in there again, done a great job alongside Lee Bradbury. They've given him a permanent contract this week. They've been 1 loss in 8 games, Crawley, on an excellent run. And playing against Scunthorpe, who've actually sacked their manager, Paul Hurst, this week. They lost 3-0 at Northampton in midweek. Been on a poor run. I think Crawley will add to it and win this game.
Liam?
Yeah, going to the Bundesliga, Hoffenheim to beat Bayer Leverkusen at 21-10. Hoffenheim are on the cusp of the European places in the Bundesliga after wins over Borussia Dortmund and Werder Bremen either side of the winter break. They now have one of the fiercest striking duos in the division after signing former Sevilla striker Munas de Boer, and he partners Andre Kramaric. And earlier in the season, they had a dip in form. They brought him back from injury and they turned their fortunes around. So he's a key player for them. Leverkusen, they've had a light start to 2020. At first glance, it looks like they're in good form. But they only beat Fortuna Düsseldorf and Paderborn, who are the bottom 2 in the Bundesliga at the moment. And actually, if you look back at their December form just before the winter break, they lost 3 of their 5 games in that. So I'd fancy Hoffenheim to beat Bayer Leverkusen.
And Emmet?
Yeah, I go for Leicester draw no bet as my nap, as I've given my logic earlier in the pod, but I think they should be way shorter, and I can't see them losing here.
Excellent. Right, so we've got Lincoln, we've got Crawley, we've got Hoffenheim, and we've got Leicester, draw no bet. And, Emmet, as usual, you'll be enhancing that fourfold for us, won't you, my friend?
Absolutely, and just worth pointing out, as we kind of come towards deadline day, Paddy Power have an array of transfer specials on the specials page on the website.
Excellent
and also
stuff.
Some Bruno Fernandes specials when anyone's interested in that as well.
Good. Lovely stuff. I will give a quick plug for The Assist, which is the Racing Post weekly pullout. Comes out every Friday. It's got all the weekend form and odds. It's got tips. It's got the great views of all our top columnists, including the genius that is Kevin Pulling. So do check that out. Are you going to watch some football this weekend, Dan?
Yeah, Watford are at home to Everton, so yeah, I'll be there, yeah.
What about you, Liam?
Working both days, but I'll be keeping an eye on all of the football, obviously, across the 2 days. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Honestly, you want to see it at the weekend. It's just people group round the TV. Nothing ever gets done. Cans of lager and everything. What a place to work. Emmet, what are you going to do this weekend? Are you grafting away?
No, thankfully I'm off for a couple of days, so I'm looking forward to watching the racing, football, rugby, Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to be a great weekend of sport.
It's an amazing weekend of sport, isn't it? We've got Dublin Racing Festival as well, and we will be previewing that in our Racing Postcast tomorrow. I shall be watching Palace versus Sheffield United from the Arthur Waite stand with my fingers in front of my eyes. I'm delighted that Dan fancies Palace, but I'm pretty nervous about that one. So, like I say, Racing Postcast tomorrow. Looking ahead to all the great action at Sandown and over in Ireland all weekend. And we're back next Thursday for another Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log into your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.